Welcome back to IGN Live at E3 2018. I'm James Duggan, and I've convinced a few people at DICE to let us get our hands on Battlefield 5. That's right, this is an exclusive. So let's welcome one of those people right now. This is design director Daniel Berlin, here to talk us through Battlefield 5. We have some gameplay. I've had a doozy of a week.
I can imagine.
Man, the road up to E3 for us at IGN is stressful, but I've been looking forward to this, and this is definitely the moment where it all pays off.
Sweet.
So I'm going to ask you some questions. I'm going to grill you about Battlefield 5,
Sure.
what we can expect, and we're going to see some gameplay. So let's get right to it. We have some new modes, Airborne and the return of Majority Rule Conquest.
Yes.
They all combine in this really cool way, which is Grand Operations. So tell me about Grand Operations.
So yeah, the Grand Operations is the successor of the Operations game mode that we introduced in Battlefield 1. But we're kind of changing it up a bit. There was some problems with the mode, I think, in Battlefield 1. Often you could play the mode, but you actually got stuck, for example, fighting over one single church for almost an hour because you didn't actually progress because the defender stopped you. So we're changing the format in general for Grand Operation, and we're introducing the concept of in-game days. And these are not calendar days. These are, yeah, this is confusing sometimes. But it's not calendar days. A day is represented by a match, and it's approximately 15 to 20 minutes long. And so when you're playing a Grand Operation, you're actually playing through these fictional days. And it's a modular mode in that sense, because we can actually customize and set up what mode we want to be representative on each day.
So this is a lot like custom playlists, which is a feature that every Battlefield fan is familiar with, from servers running different playlists at the same time of modes, which is really exciting. I just want to toss it over to the weapons here.
Yeah.
We saw a Gewehr, and this is obviously World War II.
Yes.
We're advanced chronologically from World War I. So tell me what's changed in terms of the arsenal.
I think in general we've been looking closely at the gameplay in general and how the weapons work, and taking cues from the community in general to see, like, okay, what does the community want in terms of weaponry, and how does actually the weapon work. So the thing we're looking at most and foremost is that we want to introduce more of a predictability to the weapons in that sense. Predictable recoil patterns, for example. We want players to be able to pick up a gun, play with it, and then learn how it works. And that comes from that predictability in terms of recoil patterns. And also moving away from randomness with the weapons. So basically the general mentality that we have on the team when we're looking at the weapons is where the weapon is aiming is where the bullet is going to go.
Sure.
And if there's recoil, and if there's things that, like, if you're using a burst fire weapon, for example, and you decide to go fully automatic, you're going to see the weapon start to kicking and stuff like that. But we always want you to be able to mitigate that through player skill.
Yeah.
So you can always get better with the weapons.
And so we're looking at building here, and this is a new and very welcome, if I might add, feature to Battlefield.
Yes.
I remember at Bad Company, we get to a point where the entire battlefield was completely leveled,
Yeah.
playing on this barren wasteland.
Yeah.
Thankfully, you can rebuild. So tell me about building. Are you able to just build in presets? Can you build anywhere? What's the deal?
So it is exactly what you say. It's a system that marries really well with our destruction system. Because yes, you can bring a lot of the stuff down in Battlefield. It's one of the things, and we introduced it in Bad Company too. So this marries really well with that. But we have, in our take of this, is that we have a select preset of locations that you can build, but it's very, very extensive. So every single house, for example, you can board them up. You can board up windows. If you destroy a house, as you can see here in this footage, that you can actually rebuild structures and bring it back. But you can build sandbags, build the tank traps, build trenches, build foxholes with machine guns.
And any class can do this, yes?
Any class can pick up the toolbox, but the support class is the one that is the most proficient at it. And the support class also has more utility. For example, machine guns and stationary weapons is something that the support class can build, but something that actually the other classes can't.
So speaking of classes, tell me about the class changes from Battlefield 1 going to Battlefield 5.
Yeah, so what we're doing is that we're introducing what we're calling archetypes, which is basically subclasses of the classes that we have. And they have unique gameplay styles, for example. So at the build at EA Play, you'll be able to select the support class, for example. On this, there is the standard support player available, but you can also choose one of the archetypes, which is the machine gunner. And that machine gunner has specific type of abilities in terms of perks that kind of angles that character towards a specific type of gameplay style. So that subclass and archetype has access to specific weaponry, specific gadgetry, and specific perks that leans it towards being a master at a certain task on the battlefield.
That's really exciting to kind of choose an archetype and live up a specific class fantasy. We're watching a German tank destroyer mow through these houses.
Yes.
In Battlefield 5 here on IGN Live at E3 2018. So tell me, in terms of vehicles, what we can expect in terms of differences from Battlefield 1. Obviously, the planes are a lot faster, and the tanks as well, correct?
I think the biggest thing I want to mention is one of the systems that we're actually that we're introducing, which is called the squad reinforcements, which is actually gives you access to call in through squad play. If you're the person that plays in your squad, if you're the person that do execute squad actions and execute team play actions such as capturing point, you would generate specific squad reinforcement. You can call in super powerful vehicles through this, like the Churchill flamethrower tank or the Sturmtiger tank, and these are squad-centered vehicles that really, when they come in, and if you're not playing a particular class, or if you're not in a vehicle that can handle these vehicles, you should pretty much just leave.
Interesting. That sounds like a pretty big feature. So there's a lot more control over the ability to get in a vehicle. I remember back in like the Battlefield 2 days, just hoping you spawn by the helicopter was kind of the mechanism to be a pilot. But now you have greater control over that, is what you're saying?
Well, the how you spawn into the vehicles is similar to the system in BF1, but the squad reinforcement ones are the ones that you actually have to earn them, and then you can call them in, and they're exclusive for your squad to get into. So it's a squad-specific, super powerful vehicle that you can use to turn a match around, basically. And within this system, there's additional stuff like the V1 rocket, for example, is also a part of these squad reinforcements that you can call in.
Very interesting. One of my favorite things about Battlefield 1, whether intentional or not, is the arsenal that was available during that time and how that kind of slowed everything down.
Yeah.
I think I got a little bit of fatigue around Battlefield 4 when it was just that guy who's really good at a helicopter spawn killing me over and over. Obviously no helicopters in World War I or World War II. So was that an intentional choice? And I guess my question is, are we kind of getting back to that eventually? Or for now, are we keeping it very basic, very boots on the ground?
I think in terms of what weaponry we decided to go with early, so it's like we have this aspect that we want to kind of show players the unseen, the untold parts of the war. So there's going to be weaponry in there that is going to be like, oh, I haven't seen this before, you know. But there's also going to be those very, very iconic weapons, such as the MG42, which is just a complete beast. And that is one of those weapons that is particularly effective at bullet penetration, for example, just ripping through buildings. So if you buy part of one of those things and you have enemies clustering up in a building, they can't be safe from you anymore. You can just shoot straight through the walls and take them out.
So clearly a little bit indicative of the fact that it is a secret, so you may not be able to tell me about anything here, but the secret weapons of World War II, are we getting into like weird occult stuff? What's going on with this? Or is this just the artillery gun that can fire across the English Channel?
Yeah, those were the things that I mentioned before. The secret weapons are those very powerful tanks that you can go in, like the flame-throwing Churchill tank or the Sturmtiger, or for say the V1 rocket that you gain access to by executing team play actions, playing the objective, and playing with your squad. So that's what you get when you get access to those secret weapons of World War II.
Fantastic. All right, we're seeing a little bit of gameplay here of an SMG with what is essentially a red dot sight.
Yeah.
So you're going to be able to level up your weapons and level up your character, and
Absolutely.
unlock aesthetics and different things. Explain exactly what that means in terms of gameplay.
Yeah, so we're going much deeper in terms of progression as a whole this time around. It's something that's been really asked from the community. They really want us to go deep on player progression. So when you're playing with these weapons and when you're playing with specific classes, you will level up that class and you will gain access to new weaponry. And when you're playing with a specific weapon, you will level up that weapon, and you can decide then, okay, how do I want my weapon to look? How do I want my weapon to play? And you can actually, when you're playing the game, you can decide to customize a weapon a certain way, like an MP40, for example, and then you can actually get another MP40, and you can customize that differently, so it has a different type of playstyle. So you can have multiple versions of the same weapon, and then customize them differently, both in terms of look and gameplay.
And that, I think, leads to the obvious transition to monetization. And I think that Battlefield is a game as a service at its core, and it's something that you want to support long term. You announced that DLC will be free, maps will be free, and that is fantastic because you're no longer segmenting the community, which I think is great. But what are we looking at? Are battle packs still around? And am I going to be able to spend more money in Battlefield 5 if I want to? How's that going to work?
So the general mentality we have going into this is that Battlefield has never been paid to win. So Battlefield will never be paid to win. So at launch, like if you have anything that is purchasable, it's going to be cosmetics only. You can never pay to get a gameplay advantage in Battlefield 5.
Wonderful. Great answer. Let's talk about Tides of War. This is really interesting. It's kind of analogous to maybe Fortnite or Overwatch's seasons. This is an incentive to play in a short amount of time, correct? So talk me through what Tides of War are.
Tides of War is like we want people to go on a journey through World War II. So when we start the game, we have a certain set of maps and a certain amount of content. But since we're now removing premium, like you mentioned, you will go on this journey with your friends, and everyone is included. There's no doors, no payment to get into this. And as you're going through the Tides of War, we will take you to new theaters of war, and introducing new types of gameplay through the theaters of war, basically. And what we're doing as you're playing through the different theaters of war, unlocking new weapons, unlocking new vehicles, and so on and so forth, that's what builds your company. And the company is a huge thing for Battlefield 5. It's your personal company where you will add new soldiers, you will add new class archetypes, for example, and you will add new weaponry, new vehicles, new airplanes, new tanks, new customization to those vehicles, and so on and so forth. So as you will go through the different types of war, you will actually see your company expand and then change the way they look and change the way they play.
We've been speaking a lot about multiplayer, and frankly, that's where I spend 99.9% of my time in Battlefield. But let's speak about these little vignettes, the single player, or actually now they're co-op, correct?
Well, there's a separate co-op mode called Combined Arms, and then there are the war story. So we're bringing back that anthology format that we had from Battlefield 1. It felt like we really found our way, you know, the way we do single player for Battlefield. So we're bringing that back. And what you saw in the trailer today was like a short little snippet of what we call the war story Nordlys, which is, I think I got this correct, but it is Norwegian for Northern Lights. And in this war story, you follow a young resistance fighter in the midst of the German-occupied Norway. And in her quest to save herself and to save her family.
Now this is really exciting. We're looking at some sniper gameplay. I am completely guilty of sitting in the back, not pushing the objective, but having a disgustingly good kill-death ratio. I love sniping in Battlefield 1, and I can't wait to try it in Battlefield 5, and there's a feature that's really exciting to me, and that's bullet penetration.
Yes.
So tell me about high-caliber bullet penetration.
Yeah, so we're kind of taking a caliber approach to this game, and we want to have the same mentality in terms of like what you expect to happen is this going to happen. So higher caliber bullets will be able to penetrate thicker materials, and lower caliber bullets will not, basically. But the general mentality that we have is if you're standing in front of a door with a pistol and you expect you should be able to shoot through this door with the pistol, you should be able to. But you might not be able to shoot through the wall. That's where the heavy caliber weapon comes in. So it's all about kind of like grounding it in that sense of believability. So whatever would expect to happen in the real world would happen in the game.
Very cool. I have to ask about Battle Royale, or as I like to call it, Battle Royale Field. My new terminology. Do you have any details to share on that? And what are you trying to accomplish there? How are you going to make this different or unique, but also keep it Battlefield?
I don't have any details as right now, but what I can say is that just that thing. We want to make it uniquely Battlefield. So we're going to lean heavily into the things that makes Battlefield Battlefield. That is the team play, that is the destruction, that is the vehicle. So that those are going to be strong aspects of this offering, basically.
Wonderful. Daniel Berlin, design director at DICE. I cannot wait. I'm very much looking forward to Battlefield 5. We're going to catch our breath, but there's still much more to cover here at IGN Live at E3. Still ahead, Code Vein and an exclusive look at Dead or Alive 6, so don't go anywhere.